All right. Well, hello and welcome back to the Money Wisdom Podcast. I'm Nick Colantuono. I'm a certified financial planner up here in our Boston, Massachusetts offices, joined as always by my partner, Jake Dozer, down in Connecticut. Jake, good to see you again, my friend. Why don't you introduce yourself?
You as well, sir. Looking forward to today's episode. I feel like it's going to be a hug from us to our clients and our listeners. My name is Jake Dozer. I'm a certified financial planner in our Connecticut offices and looking forward to revealing the mystery that I keep alluding to. Nick, tell us what we are recording about today that gives us the warm and fuzzies.
That's right. Warm and fuzzies is what it's all about. We've got a very timely episode because Valentine's Day is upon us.
There it is.
So the question that we are posing to everyone is, what's your retirement relationship status? Are you just taking things day to day? Just we'll see where it ends up. You know, one day the market's up, one day the market's down. I'm making a contribution here, taking a distribution there. Are you day to day, or do you have a long-term time horizon? Are you more committed than that? So again, you know, we're always trying to bring you fun topics. And, you know, the whole purpose here being is, do you have a plan, or is it just day to day? Right. So there's a couple things that I want to talk about and pick your brain on, Jake, because again, I think what it comes down to, like any good relationship, it requires intention, it requires consistency, it requires balance, requires regularly reviewing things, making sure that you've got a plan in place and that you know exactly what's where and why and where you're going to go to get your hands on money when you need it in the future. So topic number one is just going over the goals that you have, managing expenses, managing debt. What we're talking about here is making sure that you're showing up consistently. So when it comes to, you know, you and I both say it all the time, knowing your numbers, you got to know your significant other, know your partner here. So, you know, how are you addressing clients with those sort of baseline financial planning things of just knowing their numbers?
You know, I think that going into retirement without knowing things like, how much is Social Security going to be for you? Do you have a pension? What are your monthly expenses? And then those are like table stakes. Those, if you don't know those, you know, I think anyone would say, well, yeah, that duh, you know. But number two, here's another one. What's the required rate of return in order to make sure your plan works? How much should you be taking out each year through withdrawals so that it's affordable for you long term? How much can you spend confidently without hurting yourself? These questions become like level 2, level 3 questions that are a little bit more advanced and require a long-term view, right? Because I want to take out all that I can, but if I don't have a quantified number of how much I can take out, now I'm put in a position where I'm afraid to spend money. And I'll tell you is that thankfully, more of our clients spend under what they can spend than overspend. However, I have seen so many folks come into our office and say, you know, I just met with somebody today and their fear was, I don't know if my retirement's going to work out. And so I don't know if I can even take the trips that I want to take. And they shared with me, it's because, you know, I think I spend too much money and I don't think I save enough. And I just don't know how well I did. And everything I hear there is fear because there's a lack of clarity. And so had somebody up to this point simply sat down and did a plan for them to show them how well it would work and what components are needed to make that engine go, they would have been able to breathe easy and said, oh, I can take that trip. Oh, I can spend that money. Now, not without reason, not flippantly, but rather in a measured, controlled way, giving yourself permission to spend for fun as long as it's affordable. But that clarity is not possible without a written income plan. And you can't get that answer anywhere else. So don't hope it's going to work out. Don't fingers crossed. Know it's going to work out. Just like with the relationship, put the time and effort into getting to know your plan intimately so that you can have the desired outcome that you want and probably deserve.
Two birds with one stone, Jake, because our next question here is all about feeling secure about the future and how you're helping clients determine where their income's going to come from, how long it's going to last. You don't need me to tell you this. That's all coming down to having a written income plan. And then one thing that you mentioned in that first topic you talked about was just saying, how does this engine have to be built? What are the different components to it? So I want to hit on that a little bit, because obviously there's a monumental shift that happens when you go from saving for retirement to now you're in retirement, right? Totally different ballgame. So talk to us about balance. How are you helping folks determine how much they need in the growth world, how much they need in more income generating buckets, and how much they need in just completely safe and secure money?
Yeah, I mean, clarity equals confidence. And so as you get a sense of how much you want to live on and when you're supposed to take your guaranteed income streams like Social Security and pension, the next natural step is, okay, well, if that's what I have guaranteed, what do I have that's not guaranteed from investment withdrawals? And if I need to generate X dollars a month, how am I going to do it in the good years? How am I going to do it in the bad years? What tools amongst those categories will create that withdrawal pattern, right? So you don't jump to the end where there's a magic investment, folks, but make sure that you understand the components. So you need some money that's safe for the bad stock market years, for income creation to supplement, right? You don't want to have to pay your Eversource bill from a portfolio that's down 20% in a day, right? That's crazy. That's catching a falling knife in the kitchen. It's dangerous, right? But you also don't want so much money on the sideline that you're not growing and fighting inflation for the long term. And then in the middle, you got to have some income generating assets where you're looking for consistency, right? So really every client we have, whether they have $100,000 or $20 million and everything in between, they need three core components. They need safety, they need income, and they need growth. And how much is assigned to each bucket is depending on the way they're going to use their money. And then the tools that live in each bucket is based on more specifically how they'll use their money and the frequency thereof, right? So start with the end in mind and work through it logically, but it requires a lot of planning up front to make sure you get it right.
And things change along the way.
That's
just
right.
as your career working and saving for retirement could be 25, 30 years and maybe 4 or 5 different jobs along the way. Well, guess what? Retirement is not just one, level playing field for the next 20 or 30 years. There's going to be phases of your life that you go through in that next phase of life, different chapters, if you will. So it's important to be in it for the long haul. It's also important to know that the vehicles, right, that balance or that mix of growth, income, safety will often shift as well along the way.
That's
It's
right.
all about time horizon. It's all about liquidity needs. It's all about, these different phases of life, these different chapters. They're all going to bring different storylines along with them. And you need to know that by having the appropriate plan in place or having that appropriate balance, if you will, you're always going to be in control of where you're going to go to get your hands on money that you need when you need it. But also keep in mind, 20 or 30 years of working, earning, and saving might sound a lot, but so too is maybe 20 or 30 years of retirement, right? So change is to be expected. So when we talk about expectations, we also have to talk about things that are unexpected, right? So are you prepared for the unexpected? I'm talking about things like rising healthcare costs. I'm talking about things like inflation, talking about things like taxes. Oh my God, taxes are, I feel like that's 9/10 of every conversation that we're having with folks these days. So it's not only about adapting your strategy to markets, but also adapting that strategy as these unexpected things come up. Isn't that the case?
You have to balance, I want to spend money for enjoyment with I need to be prepared for the unexpected. Case in point, I met with a gal earlier today, and in her situation, she doesn't have long-term care insurance, but she's single, and that's a big concern for her because her parents went through it. And she wants to make sure that she does not either burn through all her assets to pay for her care or leave her family in the lurch where they have to have the tough decision of putting her in a lesser quality of care because she has to go on state aid. And so what we said is, well, if you don't have coverage, we need to figure out is coverage affordable? And if it's not coverage is not affordable, how do you self-insure using the assets that you have to protect against that? Well, how much money do we need to set aside now so that by the time you need it, it's grown to a place where it can take care of that care? Well, that money needs to be shaved off from the rest of your portfolio and to be thought of differently because it's not money that could be used for fun, right? So what we're doing is we're assigning purpose to each dollar, and we're thinking about this logically to say, how do we craft a unique scenario to you. And so again, it's about the long term, just like a relationship is. I can't, I think about my wife and I, when we first started dating, I had all these like clever, unique gifts that I gave her based on her interest. I followed her on Pinterest and I found all the interests so that I could create or give gifts. Here's my problem. I put myself into a pickle. I got all my creative juices out. And by the time we got married, I couldn't think of anything more unique. Now I had to start thinking on the fly. Well, so too, in a silly example, so too must you pace yourself in retirement. If you front load all your spending in the beginning so that you're ill prepared for the emergencies and unexpected in the back, man, you're not finding the right balance. So find the right balance where you can answer each piece in its place.
Yeah, it is a very, very unique phase of life. And folks, viewers, listeners, we just want you to know it's not missed on us. It's not missed on Jake. It's not missed on me that we get the benefit of having conversations like this all day, every day. I mean, personally, it's all I've ever done for close to 20 years. Can't, maybe closer to like 16 years, but I like to round up in that case. But what I'm getting at here is we are well aware that a lot of you all out there, you're having conversations like this a handful of times in your life. So the most valuable thing that you're all entitled to for being our viewer, being our listener, being present with us on this podcast is the opportunity to sit down with Jake or sit down with me, sit down with someone on our team and have a conversation that is unique to you. We're always prefacing these profound statements that Jake and I make up here by saying, well, it depends. Is your situation this or is your situation that? Your situation is your situation and yours alone. So again, text our team, text the word visit, VISIT, text our team at 800-757-0436. Someone on our scheduling team will contact you to come in and have that unique conversation that is specific to you. Like I said, all day, every day, Jake, myself, the rest of our team, this is all we do. We're sitting down with folks who are either retired or getting there shortly and really helping them determine how to best navigate that transition. The ultimate goal of retirement is not just to get there, Jake. Am I right? It's to stay there. It's to stay retired. So come in, have a conversation with someone who does this all day, every day, and talk about you. Right. So again, text the word visit, VISIT, text our team at 800-757-0436. We will reach out to schedule that complimentary money map retirement review with you. It's the most valuable thing you're all entitled to for being our guest. We appreciate that. So Jake, mailbag minute. I'm pressing you for time here. We got to be quick, my friend. First, we have a great question about helping younger generations prepare for retirement. What's the best advice that I can give my 15-year-old grandson to start saving for his future and his retirement? Talking to a 15-year-old about retirement. I like where this person's head is.
I love it. Educate, educate, educate. And compounding interest is the seventh wonder of the world, or eighth wonder of the world. The point is it's magical, So make sure you start saving soon, save often, save frequently, stay the course, and educate them. Maybe give them a resource, a book, maybe a book like The Richest Man in Babylon, maybe a book like I Will Teach You to Be Rich, maybe a book like The Millionaire Next Door. Some of these pivotal books that help to build a wise, financially literate foundation so that you're prepared for the future.
It's great advice. Next question is all about 529 plans, college or education savings plans for those of you out there who might be less familiar. I have a daughter in college. Can I have my Social Security income directly deposited to a 529 account, thus making it tax-free?
No, you can't. You got to put Social Security into the bank, step one, which is taxable. But then you could take that money and throw it in a 529 plan if it's appropriate for them. Just remember with the 529, it does grow tax-free. However, that money is earmarked towards higher education, which means that if they don't end up going that route, they could end up paying taxes and penalties later, as opposed to like a brokerage account, a TOD account, where you can invest it and do what you want without the tax benefits. Or one of these new Trump accounts, 5457 form. If you're filing your taxes in 2026 for the 2025 year, you can register for an account like that, which is almost like a retirement account in advance. So find the purpose of the money, then make sure you use the right account, but no direct deposit from Social Security straight into the account, unfortunately.
All right, my friend. Finally, we have a great question about trust planning. How can I use a trust to easily pass assets to my children and not lose money to taxes?
Trusts are a real sticky area. There's two main types, irrevocable and revocable, and they do different things. But in short, trusts get to skip 99% of the probate process, so to speak. Obviously, it's not precisely 99. And oftentimes that results in less cost to attorneys, to probate court, and potentially less taxes. However, I will tell you is this is not a short answer to a question. You need to coordinate your tax preparer, your financial advisor, and your attorney when you're talking about setting up and funding and managing on an ongoing basis the investments within a trust. Measure twice, cut once with things that are very nuanced.
So true. It's a very stressful situation when clients lose loved ones or people lose parents or, God forbid, lose a child, right? It's a very stressful thing to lose someone. By not having a plan in place, you can make that situation more stressful than it already is. So I know these are difficult conversations to have, people, but they're conversations that need to be had, which is also taking us back to our offer for all of you today. Like I said earlier, Jake, myself, everyone on our team, all our advisors, we are experts in this exact phase of life that you all now find yourself in. And we're very fortunate to be on our side of these conversations. These are the only conversations that we're having all day, every day. And it's not missed on us that most of you are, like I said earlier, having these conversations a handful of times in your life. So the opportunity to come in, sit down with myself, sit down with Jake, sit down with one of the advisors on our team and have that conversation that is unique to you is hugely, hugely valuable. And it's something that we want to offer everyone. So text the word visit, VISIT. Text visit to our team at 800-757-0436. Someone very nice from our scheduling department will reach out to you and find a time that's convenient to you to come into an office that's convenient to you and have a conversation that is specific to you. Hugely valuable. Text the word visit, VISIT, 800-757-0436 to come in, have your complimentary money map retirement review. Hugely valuable thing that you're all entitled to for being our viewers and being our listeners. So, folks, it's always a pleasure being with you. Jake, it's always a pleasure being with you. Thank you for your advice, for your guidance, and thank you for the work that you do for your clients here at Johnson Brunetti. So, folks, for myself, Nick Colantuono, Certified Financial Planner, up here in our Boston, Massachusetts offices. For my partner, Jake Dozer, Certified Financial Planner, Certified Private Wealth Advisor down in our Connecticut offices. We appreciate you joining us on the Money Wisdom Podcast, and we'll see you next time.
Johnson Brunetti is a marketing name for the businesses of JB Capital and JN Financial. Investment advisory services offered through JB Capital LLC. Insurance products offered through JN Financial LLC.